What kind of government would force isolate their own children to see which demographic would kill themselves off first? Would the black girls kill themselves off first, or would the white boys kill themselves off first, or would they use a gun? What kind of government would force isolate their own people? What kind of government would fix all of that, their attention on their one voice? Tune in every single day because the rules are always changing. What kind of government would force humiliate one to be broken? What kind of government would give you animalistic concerns like toilet paper? What kind of government would exhaust you on purpose? What kind of government would threaten you if you don't comply? If you don't comply to these menial things, you won't get to go to the grocery store. You won't get to go to movies. You won't get to fly. You will have no right to property, no right to travel, and no right to your biological property. What kind of government would use the Chinese torture tactics called the Biderman's chart of torture? I am inviting you to look at and download the evidence that I have compiled. What makes me different? I have tracked legislation in 36 states for 5 years. I saw a pattern. That's what makes me different than all the media that is lying to you. So when you tell your friends, tell them a little Indian named Jessica Joy was a bill tracker, and she saw that they were eliminating Christians, but she didn't know how it was going to be done. So download the military training of the Biderman's chart of coercion and print. Download anything that has to do with the studies and the research of solitary confinement on children. The white boys, the black girls using guns, and how do they have the kids kill themselves? Off media. They kill themselves off in media, and they die off in clusters. When you watch the kids' cartoons nowadays, they have a lot of suicide commercials, as in, maybe I need to commit suicide too. With the military torture, we have sensory deprivation, loud music, crying babies. And then, how do they fight back? The military said, befriend the captors, force them to see you as humans. That part is very important. How did I get into noticing that Christians were going to go away? I was thrown off like America. America was thrown off by this banning the sale of the Bible in California. That was just to make you look like a stupid person and humiliated and never to engage in government again. Then you're going to see different categories. This was the language that I didn't know how to tell people I was seeing. Here's the day that the bills came across. I didn't see the conversation I was looking at, of course, until after this conversation had taken place. Bills are chopped up into tiny little pieces for a one subject rule, so that what people are trying to accomplish gets divided into many bills. Since my bills were divided into 8 parts, I had to search through a lot of states. So I was hot on the trail when I had seen ACR 99, a California bill. It was saying that one faith-based belief was forcing another faith-based belief to kill themselves. Anyone in recovery? Now that's insane. That's not true. You can't say one faith is forcing you to kill yourselves. Then, where I got hot on the trail is the state conversion therapy bans. The state conversion therapy bans, I was hot on the trail because I was understanding they're going after something. Is it a behavior? Conversion therapy bans, now in 20 states and 85 towns. Then in 2021, when you were fully distracted and not listening to liberal media, I was. All music, all media, all schools framed Christians as terrorism, framed us as the behavior of terrorists. That made all of this make sense. It's a behavior. So I knew the word that I had to be tracking was behavior. I also knew last year bills were signed for quarantine camps. And no one was saying anything. They said conspiracy, but if it's in the bill tracker, those camps are already made. This is not fake news when it's a bill tracker. So all states have this one horrible bill that I had seen in the fall. And I had to go in a wild goose chase for it. I saw COVID related back to Colorado Senate Bill 08194. It was a broken link, but I knew how to find that bill number. I found the bill number. I talked to the sponsors, or not the sponsors. I talked to the 2 Republicans, or tried to. I had only read just the first part of this bill, and just by reading the first part, I knew this bill was going to have a horrible end. It's not. People say things about like a bureaucracy or bureaucrats, and I had seen a judge, a jury, executioner. I had seen subpoenas and oaths, and I was like, wait a minute. You never put a government inside of a bill. See, our government is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So if you didn't like how life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness was going, you would put the opposite in the bill. And you'd put a lot of names on it, which I'm kind of concerned that would pass through on Sin-Dine, which is the last part of session, and lots of names are on it. If a bill is guaranteed to pass, why put lots of names? I think I know the answer to why our red governors betrayed us. So then you'll see in this little bottom corner, I put the camps are in the state codes. So when I'm talking to you about Legiscan, those bills of last year are not in Legiscan. You have to go into the states to find those bills. They passed. Republicans passed them. And then why you saw me hyperventilating the other day is because I saw what was going to happen here in Colorado. They introduced the Behavioral Health Administration. I saw on the Secretary of State page more lobbyists check-in than I've ever seen. There was one conservative lobbyist, and I'm going to circle back to them. Why do they know what's in this? If you Google this number, Colorado Senate Bill 08194, it's going to take you to a PDF. You must print that. I can't guarantee it's going to be up forever. When I saw the middle of this bill, it was a nightmare. I went back to that bill, and it's everything that my mother's family left Europe. This bill has a horror scene in it. This bill is in all of your states, and I'm saying you're going to be looking at the year 2008. So Google 2008 plus your state name. So 2008 state name, and go to the .gov page. You're looking for the archives, and you're going to go slowly through the titles. You're going to see you have this bill too. It made the health department in your counties. They hired your people. This was implemented in, was that 2008? And it came to fruition? Barely. That's the part that really scared me. Barely. You're going to see or the religious exemption up to, it's a joke. The religious exemption is up to 6 years or 6 months of confinement. We all know that's not. What do you need to be confined for a germ about? Why 6 months of confinement for a germ if you have herd immunity? The camps are in the state codes. You have the same bill. When you go, you'll really want to start. It picks up on page 11. And it will scare the living tar out of you. They're going to hire your friends. And then they spend a lot of time saying what they will do to your friends if they don't do ... They're going to use people who are not enforcers as enforcers. And you know what's going to happen to them. If you know anything about Europe, the useful idiots, these people are not trained. These people are not trained to know what's going to happen. Take this video. I love my parents. I love my aunt. I am peace. I've lived a full life. This is what you needed to see. That this is a long conversation of them tracking a behavior. The next part, I'll need some code talkers, people who are curious of how to talk, how to find these things, follow the money. Why? Because if it's on behavior, and if you put behavior in Legiscan this year, you're going to see suicide bills. If that was their end goal, what do the suicide bills do? If the end goal was half our population to kill themselves off with a forced collapse or isolation or Biderman's chart of coercion, which my friends never survived. We were the petri dish in LA. Okay, so I was thrown off by the sale of the Bible. I knew I was onto something. I saw California ACR 99. I was wondering why people are traveling all over the country to see this resolution. Republicans will tell you resolutions don't matter. Yeah, they do. If one party knows they are. So this is not fake news. What am I saying, Jessica? Let's sum it up. That is how the story ends. That bill is in your state. And we need to find that bill in your state because you need to compile evidence now. My job was to find plaintiffs for the Drag Queen Story Hour lawsuits, find plaintiffs wherever I went as we took on secular humanism. If they can't fly their faith-based flag, we can't fly ours. If we can't fly ours, they can't. No, you can self-identify as whatever you want. We will no longer participate. That November 1st date just means one thing. But we'll go over that later. Thank you so much. Have your friends follow me. Jessica Joy. What makes me different than everyone else? I'm a bill tracker. And these bills are having a conversation. And I can put out more research with people who are hungry for it. Stating the problem. This is not our government. Stating the problem. This is not our government, and that's their code. And that's how the United States will no longer be on the November 1st part. Why? Because this is an orchestrated tragedy is going to happen between now and then. And by all of the other research that I've done, I can guess what the tragedy is. One nation under God, indivisible. Indivisible was the group that trained me. We can't redo this without God. This all ends November 1st. I'm assuming parental rights. I see the Chinese social scoring system, which was introduced by a Republican here in Colorado named Rose. The Marxist agenda is endorsed by most all of our Republican commissioners. So right now, put in your Google alert. Put in shortage. You'll get an email every single day. There's a housing shortage. There's a car shortage. There's a gas shortage. The microchips mean what? No technology. No microchips, no technology, no cars, no cash. I saw here in Colorado that, don't worry, we'll put your ID on the phones. Well, if the phones are going, then we'll have no ID. So people are like, where do you think the mark of the beep beep comes from? I'm like, well, no cash, no ID. What do you think? And then suddenly there's no ambulances. Well, if the end result is everyone kills themselves, then no one's coming for you. That just means that The suicide bills look like we lose HIPAA. Gen X was engineered to be fat. Millennials were engineered to have absolutely no trade and to be weak. Gen Z will kill. When you sexualize a trauma for 40 hours a week and you put them in an environment where it's not just a book, it's all day long, they don't trust adults. Pixels, they have bonded to pixels. They are no longer bonded to adults. Their forced isolation will make them not bond to adults. They're angry that they have to wear a mask and mom and dad don't. You're the unsafe ones. When you have children who are sexualized, they hate adults. They don't know who to trust. When you pit them against each other, they hate you and they hate what's standing in front of them. They've made kill machines. They trained me on in Indivisible. They have the technology that they would use for Amazon warehouse. You simply are a breathing soul. They don't need anything else. They don't need qualifications. You walk in like you would at Starbucks and you immediately have a job. You don't have to guess where the beans go and how do I order the cups and where do the syrups come from. All they need is a walking, breathing soul, and immediately your family. How did they win? They went zip code by zip code. So that's how we must do. Our biggest weakness is we disqualify. I didn't even know that there was a grassroots Republicans. I've never seen them at state houses. I didn't know you guys thought you were organized. In the first meeting I did go to in Texas had like 3 codes to get in. In the first few minutes, they tell you how disqualified you are. The Communist Party gives you a job using Tinder technology. You swipe and they find your lane. They don't put artists doing everything. You're not a jack of all trades and a master at none. There's no jealousy because you're not jealous of your neighbor. Everyone has a job. Everyone has a position. Every zip code is filling out everybody else's zip code with seats. It's a machine. And that's where the endorphins are released. Someone said, Jessica, there's no instant gratification. I'm like, on their strategy there is. Why men or military don't get involved in the Republican Party is because they are not put in places of their giftings. They're not given a job on the very first day. I knew the first second I opened their app, I was leaving with value. Study pixels. The kids are not bonding. Study dogfighting and critical race. They're pitting them against you. No school, pit them against adults. And then you're going to force them to possibly take a jab that will, sterilize? They're being made to hate the parents. Sexualized puts them against the parents. Pixels and porn. No bonding. No humans. Forced isolation dehumanizes them. What does forced isolation do? It makes people go more combative, like why they're releasing people from prisons. Endless wars by Bush equals no men. EMDR therapy is what I really needed to connect the sides of my brain. The men don't know they need this, but they need this. If you're wondering where the men are, they're frozen. Traders, the prime sponsors of everything I'm talking about. Family policy, right to life. They have millions coming in, and I think that money is for them to run. They have millions and have done nothing, and I feel like that's why they kept taking us out, is we knew that they held the legislators hostage so that they would get a endorsement. I say we cut off the supply and redirect it. You can find that on followthemoney.org. Organize your town. Only invite innovators. Think of all the negative people in your life. Don't invite them. Think of all the creative people in your life. Invite them. Find the strong ones. Watch eyes. Watch admins on pages. Watch who comments the most. Know that joy comes with the morning. You have to start the morning process as you move quickly. What do I need? Media, headquarters, and marketing. What do I need? More code talkers. In other words, researchers. Research takes like 15 hours of my day. I can be doing something. I can move faster. So those who are stay-at-home on disability, homeschoolers, I need code talkers. I need people doing research. Parents of those that passed away, veterans, I need you in every town. I definitely need a new car and obviously load up with tanks of gas. If we have no chips, that means the laptops are going to go out. And having done all, stand.